That would just be how you stereotype others. Another thing is our self-perception versus perception of others. We make snap judgments, so we cling to our first impressions, which there's the primacy effect. It's our tendency to pay more attention to and to better recall things that that happen first in a sequence. So again, that goes back to our first impressions. If someone's late to, say, a job interview, the employer might think that, if this is how they're going to be all the time, then I don't want to hire them. There's also the halo effect, which is the tendency to form an overall positive impression of a person on the basis of one positive characteristic. Say if someone's really attractive, you're going to think more positive things about them. But there's also the negative effects of that called the Horns effect, which occurs when a negative appraisal adversely influences the perception that follows. So if, say, you see someone in really raggedy clothes, you're going to perceive them to be, I guess, more trouble causing. Next is the confirmation bias. We tend to seek out and organize our impressions to support that opinion. For example, experimental subjects asked more suspicious questions when they believed that a suspect had been cheating on a task. Another thing would be the fundamental attribution error. It's the tendency to give more weight to personal qualities than to the situation when making attributions. For instance, if someone you know makes a hurtful comment, you're likely to chalk it up to flaws in their own character rather than external factors. Another is a self-serving bias, which means that when we perform poorly, we usually blame external forces, and then when we perform well, we credit ourselves, so it's a little reversed. Next is our influences on perception. There's expectation versus reality. So say if you're on a dating app and you see, these pictures, they look so good in their pictures, but then you meet them in person and they look nothing like that. Which is kind of like, they may be a really good person, but then you see them and you're like, oh no. That's kind of why I like the show The Voice, where they do the blind auditions, so they can't make snap judgments like that. They can only based off what they hear rather than what they see. Because obviously we all judge. As soon as we see someone, we make a snap judgment just like that. Oh, her hair's nappy. Oh, he has really nice shoes. Stuff like that. There's also synchronizing our perceptions. So sometimes we have to do perception checking, which provides a better way to review your assumption and to share your interpretations. That can be broken down into 3 parts. A description of the behavior you noticed, 2 possible interpretations of the behavior, and a request for clarification about how to interpret the behavior. Like an example of that would be, why are you mad at me? The behavior, another example would be, when you stomp out of the room and slam the door, I wasn't sure whether you were mad at me. So first you identify the behavior, slamming the door. You thought they were mad at you, that's your first interpretation. And then, you're just in a hurry, that's your second interpretation. And then you ask for clarification on how the person really felt. Another part of perception is building empathy, like putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Empathy can be defined as the ability to recreate another person's perspective, to experience the world from his or her point of view. I put a picture of a cat that had just brought in a mouse to its owner, and she says, now how would you like it if the mouse did that to you? And that goes into the empathy of, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. If this happened to you, how would you feel? So, I have a couple references. I used the Interplay book. I also used a couple of images that I have on here, as well as I used Fallon's PowerPoint, Your Perception is Your Reality, to help along with my PowerPoint, as well as a couple articles on snap judgment and harmful self-perception, stuff like that. So, thank you.